So today we're going to make some really great cranberry sauce. This is a super easy way to make delicious homemade cranberry sauce from real cranberries and just a few simple ingredients that are really easy to get, and anybody can do this. So we're going to start off with some fresh whole cranberries. This is about 4 cups worth. And instead of cooking them in water, if you really want to add some great flavor, you just add 2 cups of orange juice. And then cranberries are incredibly tart. You need to add sugar. There's really no way to be able to get around adding sweetener to them because they would just be completely unpalatable without. And the last little bit is just to add a little bit of extra dimension to your cranberry sauce. We're just going to add 2 cut up clementines or tangerines, and the Mineola tangerines are really nice to add, but I've just got normal clementines today. So all you want to do is just peel them up, split them open, make sure you take out the little white part here at the center. We'll divide them up into sections, chop them up pretty big, pop them in there. And then we're going to toss the whole thing on the stove to cook down. And make just a really great flavorful cranberry sauce. If you happen to be one of our younger Slate people, make sure that you have somebody looking out for you while you use sharp knives. If you want to do a really nice variation on this, if you don't really like orange, you can cook your cranberries in apple cider and add some chopped up apple to this instead for a different taste still. Give this all a stir. And we're going to pop this over on the stove over medium heat until it cooks down. It's probably going to take about 10 or 15 minutes, and I'll show you what that looks like as soon as it starts to cook down. So when you are cooking down your cranberry sauce, just remember that anytime you're cooking anything with like sugar and a lot of these like acids and everything that's found in fruit, the same as with making jams or jellies, it will fluff up a fair bit with all of this, and so you have to make sure you keep an eye on it carefully and adjust your temperature accordingly, and don't walk away from one of these pots because they can boil over really, really fast. I like to take some of this fluffy stuff off the top and just to skim it. You don't have to, because we're not trying to make a clear jelly like we would in jelly or jam making, but it does make the cranberry sauce just look a little bit clearer, which I just think makes it look a little bit nicer. It won't affect the taste at all though. This is almost ready. I can see that it's starting to reduce a little bit. We'll just get some of this fluff off, and then we'll be ready to go and pop it into jars. A fair bit, and you can see it's starting to gel up already on its own. So we're gonna put this into some jars. Now, if you're going to do this and actually try to preserve your cranberry sauce in jars, this is definitely something you want to have an adult help you with, because the jars are incredibly hot. They have to be sterilized. And the only reason I'm putting them into jars rather than just serving this straight up is because we're filming right now and it's December the 7th and I don't really need this for a couple of weeks. This will keep for a good week in the fridge without being put into jars and sterilized, but if you want to keep it for longer than that, it really should be properly canned. So this is going into very hot jars, and then I'm going to put them in the canner, which is a hot water bath, for about 10 minutes to make sure that the jars seal. And then once they're all cooled down the next day, they will be ready to go into storage. This is a really neat way to make up gifts for your family and also to add to your own Christmas dinner. Just wipe the lids down a little bit. You can see the steam coming right off the top of these. They are very hot. Got some lids soaking in some hot water, but not boiling. That helps to make sure that the little rubber seal will actually seal properly. And then once those go on, you just go finger tight around the top. And remember, again, these jars are super hot, so I never want to touch the glass with my bare hands because it would burn me. It's a little sticky. That's just finger tight, so it's not screwed on really tight. That's really, really important, because if you put them on too tight, there's no room for the air that's inside the jar to escape, which is what we're really doing when we're canning, is we're getting all of the air out so that everything can be safe. Now I'm using silicone gloves. You could use a jar lifter if you have one of those, but these ones protect my hands from the hot water. And again, if you're young, this is something you definitely want an adult to help you with, because you can very easily burn yourself when you're doing canning. This just goes down inside the hot water, which is boiling, and we make sure that the lids are just barely covered. We're going to sit like that for about 10 minutes. That will get the rest of the air out of the jars, and then they'll be perfectly sealed and ready to be given away as gifts once they've cooled down. All right, so these have sat in the hot water bath for about 10 minutes, which means that it allowed them to get really, really hot, and the rest of the air got all pushed out through the tops. So now we're gonna take them out and put them on a rack to allow them to cool completely before we finish tightening the rings that are on the top. And this will allow them to seal, and it will also give them time to be cool enough to hold, because right now they are so hot that if you touch the glass, you would burn yourself quite badly. So never ever touch the glass once you're pulling them once you've just started making jams or jellies, because it's really way too hot to handle. These need to sit for about a night, and so if you let them sit overnight, they'll be ready to put in your cupboard or put a cute little bow around, and you can give them away as gifts. And these will keep for months and months and months, just like that. And if you don't want to jar them, if you want to make this right on the day of your big dinner, you can do that, and you just let it cool down in the pot and then put it into a nice bowl and then serve it up with your dinner, and it's going to taste great. Thanks a lot.